today I have a comparison between these three boots. These three boots are kind of considered a good option for people who have wider feet, and also these are the three major brands in football right now in the world. The Nike Phantom GX has offered something very similar to what the Predators have had in the table for quite a while. There have been the dominant force in terms of offering some sort of grippy texture that will enhance your kicking in some way. And what Nike has done with the Nike Grip has actually outperformed, in my opinion, what Adidas offers in the Predator accuracy. And in that sense, they're also doing that by not offering some rubber elements into the boots, which will make it feel chunkier in your feet. But they actually gone a different route, which makes the boot feel a lot sleeker and less obstructive. They have done this with the Nike Grip, and with that said, it's basically a knitted upper or a knitted boot for football. And I think that directly compares to what Puma Future offers, because it's also a knitted upper. And this is how I kind of pull in the Puma Future into this category, that if you want hybrid touch, you do get the Adidas Predators. If you want a knitted upper, you get Nike Phantom GX. But if you don't want the Nike GX, a knitted boot for that price, that's where the Puma Future actually comes in. Any of these boots will fit the wider feet, and they actually mold to your feet very well. So it gives people who have wider feet a chance to have a good performing boot. And I'm just gonna give you my honest opinions on what I think of them. I wanna start off with the Adidas Predator accuracy. I did an unboxing yesterday. I was filming that on my own, but basically the reason I didn't release any videos in regards to this is because I just didn't like what came out of that recording. I wasn't really in a good day filming wise, where my kicks were kind of terrible, so I wasn't performing well. Especially because something you guys gonna see, I don't think you guys want to see terrible bloopers or whatnot. However, the hybrid touch element is a very important upgrade in this boot compared to what was last year's or last model, which everyone complained it was very stiff. The Predator elements are located here on the inside of the shoe, and other than that, it's pretty much a naked zone here where you're gonna be kicking the ball. Now, from my experience, I feel that it does mold to your feet very well, and it's very comfortable. It does feel very padded because of the construction internally. The lining feels like they have used a synthetic suede, and it's also the same materials they're going to be using here. Very suede-like materials, very soft. It's nicely cushioned here. In terms of how this elasticated material here, the knitted material here, it's I would say it's very thin. It's not a very thick material. I think the thickest material in the midfoot here is gonna come from Pumas. Not very resistant in terms of how far you stretch it. So yeah, you can fit a wide foot here. The opening seems to be pretty big. Other than that, I mean, what stands out from this shoe is how comfortable the upper is. The material is gonna mold to your feet. It's gonna bend, and you're not gonna feel any pressure points. So that's a plus for this for the Adidas Predator accuracy. However, I did feel like in this pitch, it's a synthetic material, and one of the things that stood out, and I don't know if it's good or bad, is that the sole plate and the stud patterns, it's very sharp and it's very aggressive. Maybe if you like aggressive studs, this is something to go for, especially if you have white feet and you like aggressive traction, because in this pitch, it's really gonna anchor very well, and you're gonna feel it immediately. Like I said, this is very angular, it's very aggressive. And if you compare it to what Nike has here, where they have some conical studs here in some very critical points here, because this is where basically the ball of your foot is gonna be making contact when you're bending your feet and trying to rotate and pivot. But it's also very sharp, and they're kind of long. I think the shortest studs are from the Nike, and Puma and Adidas seem to go for like taller studs in their boots. So with that said, also you feel a lot of stud pressure, especially on this ground, because it's really hard. The quality seems pretty good, and especially the inclusion of that suede material, for me it's a plus. I don't know how often you're gonna be able to kick the ball like this I mean, it's very weird. At least maybe my technique doesn't lend itself to be taking advantage of the Predator elements. I feel when I kick the ball, I usually try to kick it with this area here, and this is the zone where it actually doesn't have the Predator element. Unless you do go for the laceless, they do include some Predator element going up down here on this side. But for me, if you're gonna buy it with laces, Predator element is pretty much obsolete. I used to be a huge Adidas Predator fan before, and now I think the way they implement these elements, they really just become absent. So if they had it more here towards this area where you are going to be hitting, there was an Adidas Predator, they had the Predator element here in this area, and I remember I fell in love with those shoes. I had those shoes and they were my favorite pair. So ever since then, I mean, I've been using Predators since I was a kid. I never got high-end Predators, but I was a big fan of the Predators, and with this, what they have done with the Predators in recent years, I feel that it's kind of a disappointment. So when I put the Predator element here on this ball, the Adidas ball, I don't feel like it really grips on it much. What the Nike GX offers, you really hear that sticky grip on the ball. Moving forward, I think that the Puma Future Ultimate offers a very comfortable, well-rounded shoe, especially because the knitted material is really soft, it's very supple. Of course, it's thin, it's not going to offer you as much protection, but I think overall it's just great. I wear it with grip socks, and it seems to pretty much do the trick. It fits well. I like this middle part where it really hugs your foot down, because it does what the Predators don't do, which is pretty much lock your feet down in the middle part of your feet. The Pumas actually do a very good job in fitting well and making your midfoot feel snug. Honestly, this doesn't offer, this is like going the opposite from what these two were going in terms of like effects with the ball, because it really doesn't offer any texture that's actually gonna make you feel like it's giving you any better grip on the ball. The comfort level on this is very seamless to put this on and you just don't feel it. When it comes to the stud pattern, I think that this also is a very aggressive, very Mercurial-esque type of traction here with the chevron studs. Other than that, I think that this is a very phenomenal boot, especially if you are playing in firm ground and natural grass, and there is that ability for your studs to really dig into the dirt rather than this AG pitch. It's gonna become very comfortable. Last but not least, I would have to say that Nike has blown it out of the water, or however the saying goes. Basically, Nike just dominated this market right now. In terms of the option, they have the least wide fitting boots. I think they are slimmer. However, they are saying that if you have wide feet, you can actually fit in this. And I do think that there's some truth to it, because when I tie them up pretty tight, according to my comfort, I do feel like there's a little crease here, like I mentioned in my review, and there's a little dead space. However, it doesn't get in the way because this is a knitted material and it's not like a plastic material where you do feel that space. In this one, you just don't feel it. But honestly, this grip knit is just fantastic. I think it does what Adidas is trying to do in terms of giving you the sensation that you have extra grip on the ball, and it does it in a way that feels seamless, because again, Adidas is limited to giving you some grippy texture in this part of the feet, and like I said, this is pretty much naked, there's nothing here. However, Nike gives it to you all around, from the middle of the foot to the other side of the foot and all over the forefoot. Unfortunately, they do have a ghostless version of this with like ghost laces or whatever they say, and they just offer a knitted material that's going to cover the laces. I think the thing they should have done in that model is basically maybe make this grip knit material come a little bit higher. I think that would have been cool, because you're already covering up the laces, so you don't need this to show the laces to anybody because you're covering them up. Why not, if people are paying extra money, why not raise it a little higher and actually give some sort of incentive to someone to spend that extra money on the ghost laces version of this? Just because they have a higher collar here, I don't think it's justifiable to sell some product with a higher price range. But however, this material is extremely enjoyable. I would compare this to wearing a pair of Mercurials that feels just grippy and have that extra texture in the forefoot. I feel these are so enjoyable. Like I said, compared to the other ones, to Puma and Adidas, I felt that the stud pattern is just on point. You're playing on AG pitch, these conical studs are gonna allow you to pivot, and actually I think that ability to pivot and move freely on the AG pitch makes you feel a little more agile, because your turns and all of these kind of things make you just forget about the shoe that has studs and that you're playing with this. Like you just turn and it's just so easy to turn on the pitch. People like more speed boot like boots nowadays. They're not really going for chunkier or leather boots. They want to try speed boots. They want to try new technology. They want to try something that feels light. And basically, we stop forgetting about wanting protection. We actually are going more for like lighter feeling boots. There are no distractions when you're playing, and this offers that experience. It's very seamless. It's very naked feeling. It feels like you're wearing a sock, and the forefoot of the sock just has something extra grippy. So overall, I think that the performance of these boots, because they have more studs patterns or more studs on the sole plate, it also becomes more comfortable in an AG pitch, because even though it's hard, you're gonna have more distribution of that pressure around the foot, so that's gonna help with the comfort. I definitely didn't feel any pain or any pressure points in this with this stud pattern. So the lockdown is amazing. If you wear grip socks, it's just perfect. I feel like for me, who I prefer materials, I didn't have any issues with this being too wide for me. I think that if you have super wide feet, you will go for this. If you're in the middle, you're fine with this. And this one, it goes for both ways, I would say. Overall, I want to make this video too long, but just Nike right now is on top of the game with the Air Zoom units in their materials, with the grip knit in the Phantom GX. If I'm gonna rank them from first to third place, definitely I think that this is something that's worth spending your money on. I think it's just well-rounded boot overall, so definitely Nike is number one in my choice. Second place, I would say Puma. It offers very similar experience in terms of the upper, how thin and kind of naked it feels, like a sock, because they're supposed to offer you something extra, and I just personally feel like it doesn't. I would say this takes the last place, and I think that Puma and Nike are just basically taking the lead, and I'm sorry to see that on Adidas. I don't know what you guys have your opinions about this. What do you guys think? Am I wrong? Am I right? What do you guys agree with me? What do you guys disagree with me? Do you use the Predators? Do you think this is better than whatever Nike and Puma are offering? I'm sorry if I may have rubbed you the wrong way, but this is just my opinion. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.